Just when Emily believed her father's greatest secret had finally been uncovered, a lawyer arrived with a sealed package that had been locked away for over 20 years. Inside was another letter, a mysterious blueprint, and a single key labeled Machine Shop Number 2. Her father had written one final warning. If anyone ever comes looking for the first shop, never tell them about the second. Emily thought her journey was over. But she was about to discover a secret far bigger than she ever imagined. Before we jump into today's incredible story, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and part of our growing YouTube family. If you enjoy emotional stories filled with hidden secrets, unexpected twists, and inspiring endings, don't forget to hit the like button. And before we begin, leave a comment telling us where you're watching from and what time it is in your country. We love hearing from viewers all around the world. Now, grab a seat, because today's story starts with a woman who believed she had lost everything, until one forgotten machine shop changed her life forever. Let's get into the story. Emily Carter never imagined that one signature could erase 15 years of her life. When the divorce became official, she walked out of the courthouse carrying only a small cardboard box filled with family photographs, a few books, and the coffee mug her late father had once given her. Everything else was gone. The beautiful house she had helped decorate, the business she had worked day and night to build, the savings she had contributed to for years. Even the truck she had driven to work every morning now legally belonged to her ex-husband, Ryan. As Emily reached the parking lot, she heard laughter behind her. Ryan was shaking hands with his lawyer. "You'll be fine," the lawyer said. Ryan smiled confidently. "I always win." Emily kept walking. She refused to let them see the tears forming in her eyes. The drive to her tiny rented apartment felt longer than ever. For the first time in years, she had no plan. No job. No business. No idea what tomorrow would look like. That night she sat alone in silence. She looked at the framed picture of her father sitting on the kitchen counter. He had passed away 3 years earlier. He had always believed in hard work. Whenever life became difficult, he would smile and say, "Real strength isn't measured by what you own. It's measured by what you build after you've lost everything." Emily whispered those words to herself. She needed to believe them now more than ever. Over the next week, she searched for work. Every interview ended the same way. Employers recognized Ryan's company and assumed the divorce had ended badly for her. Some politely declined. Others never called back. Money disappeared quickly. Rent was due. Bills continued arriving. One rainy afternoon, Emily decided to clean the last box of belongings she had brought from her father's old house. Most of it contained faded photographs, handwritten notes, and old tools. At the bottom sat a sealed envelope with her name written neatly across the front. Her heart skipped. She immediately recognized her father's handwriting. With trembling hands, she opened it. Inside was a short letter. "My dear Emily, if you're reading this, life has probably become harder than either of us hoped. But I made a promise to myself long ago. No matter what happens, I'd never leave you without a way to start again. Trust yourself. Love. Dad." Beneath the letter rested another document. A property deed. Emily frowned. The address meant nothing to her. She had never heard of the place. According to the paperwork, the property had been legally registered in her name for several years. Confused, she searched the address online. A single photo appeared. An old brick machine shop standing alone on the edge of a small industrial district. The building looked abandoned. Broken windows. Rusted doors. Overgrown weeds. It hardly seemed valuable. The next morning, curiosity pulled her there. The neighborhood was quiet. Most nearby factories had closed years earlier. Emily parked outside the old building and stared at the faded sign hanging above the entrance. She slowly unlocked the front door using the key attached to the deed. The hinges groaned loudly. Dust filled the air. Sunlight streamed through cracked windows, revealing rows of heavy industrial machines covered with old sheets. Everything looked frozen in time. She walked carefully through the shop. Old lathes, drill presses, metalworking equipment, tool cabinets. Nothing seemed special. Then she noticed something unusual. Every machine had been carefully maintained. Despite the dust, there wasn't much rust. Someone had preserved them. Her father. He had been taking care of this place all along. As she continued exploring, she discovered a small office hidden behind a storage room. Inside sat an old wooden desk. On top rested another envelope. This one simply read, "For Emily, only when you're standing inside." She smiled through her tears. It felt as though her father was still guiding her. She opened the letter. "My little engineer. If you've made it this far, then you finally found the shop. Most people see an old building. Most people see outdated machines. That's exactly what I wanted them to see. Look deeper. The greatest value here isn't what sits on the floor. It's what these machines are capable of creating. Don't let anyone convince you this place is worthless. Believe in yourself before you believe in anyone else's opinion." Emily slowly looked around the workshop again. This time, she didn't see an abandoned building. She saw possibility. She saw hope. For the first time since the divorce, she smiled. But just as she folded the letter, she heard a vehicle stop outside. Curious, she looked through the dusty window. Her smile disappeared. Ryan was stepping out of his expensive SUV, staring directly at the machine shop. Somehow, he had found it. Emily's heart began to race. She quickly folded her father's letter and placed it inside her jacket just as Ryan walked through the front door. He looked around the dusty machine shop with a smirk. "So, this is where you've been hiding." Emily crossed her arms. "What are you doing here?" Ryan smiled confidently. "I heard you inherited this old junkyard." He laughed as he looked around the workshop. "I almost felt sorry for you. Until I saw this place." Emily remained silent. Ryan kicked an old wooden crate with his shoe. "You know, this building is falling apart." He looked at the machines. "These antiques belong in a museum." Then he stepped closer. "I'll do you a favor." Emily already knew what was coming. "I'll buy the property." She smiled slightly. "It's not for sale." Ryan laughed. "Everything has a price." "Not this." His expression changed. "You really think this old shop will save you?" Emily looked around the room. Only a week earlier she might have believed him. But now, her father's words echoed in her mind. "Believe in yourself before you believe in anyone else's opinion." Ryan shrugged. "You'll change your mind." As he left, he added one final sentence. "When you're broke again, call me." The sound of his SUV disappeared down the road. Emily stood alone once more. Instead of feeling defeated, she felt something different. Determination. She decided to spend the next several days cleaning the shop. The work wasn't easy. Dust covered every surface. Old shelves needed repairs. Broken windows had to be replaced. By sunset each evening, she was exhausted. But something surprising happened. The more she cleaned, the more incredible the shop became. The machines weren't ordinary. Each one had been carefully restored. Every moving part had fresh oil. Every tool had been organized. Her father hadn't abandoned this place. He had been preparing it. While cleaning one large metal lathe, Emily noticed a brass plate attached to its side. It displayed the name of a famous American manufacturer that no longer existed. Curious, she searched online. Her eyes widened. Collectors were paying tens of thousands of dollars for restored machines from that company. She checked another machine. Same result. Then another. Again. Suddenly she realized something. The value wasn't in the building. It was in the equipment. Not because it was old. Because it was rare. As excitement grew, she called an industrial equipment specialist from a nearby city. An older man named Walter arrived 2 days later. He slowly walked through the shop. His eyes became wider with every machine. Finally he stopped. "Miss Carter." "Yes." "Do you have any idea what you own?" Emily shook her head. Walter smiled. "I've spent 40 years restoring industrial equipment." He gently touched one of the machines. "I haven't seen a collection like this in my entire career." Emily could hardly believe it. "Is it valuable?" Walter laughed softly. "Valuable?" He looked around again. "This workshop isn't just valuable. It's historic." He explained that many of the machines had been custom-built decades earlier. Several were one of a kind. Collectors, museums, and specialty manufacturers searched for equipment exactly like this. Her father had spent years restoring them quietly. Walter estimated the collection alone could be worth several $1,000,000. Emily stood speechless. For years she thought her father simply enjoyed repairing old machinery. Now she understood. He had been preserving history. Before leaving, Walter gave her one piece of advice. Don't sell a single machine. Why? Because together. He smiled. They're worth far more than they are separately. That night Emily sat alone inside the workshop. She looked at the machines differently now. Not as expensive equipment. As her father's life's work. She decided she wouldn't sell them. Instead, she would reopen the machine shop. Not as a museum. As a working business. A place where precision craftsmanship still mattered. Over the following weeks she worked harder than ever before. She repaired the office. Installed new lighting. Painted the walls. Serviced every machine. Slowly the old workshop came back to life. Word began spreading through town. People became curious. Some still laughed. Others doubted her. But a few local manufacturers stopped by asking if she could produce specialty parts. Impossible to find elsewhere. Emily accepted the first small order. Then another. Soon more customers arrived. Business slowly returned. For the first time since the divorce, she wasn't surviving. She was building. One afternoon, while organizing another cabinet inside the office, she discovered a hidden drawer beneath her father's desk. Inside rested a thick leather notebook. Across the cover were 4 simple words. My final business plan. Emily opened it. Her father's handwriting filled every page. The notebook didn't describe the past. It described the future. A future he had planned. Specifically for her. And on the final page was a list of names. At the very top was Ryan's biggest client. Emily could hardly believe what she was reading. Her father's notebook wasn't just a collection of business ideas. It was a complete blueprint. Every page contained detailed plans for turning the old machine shop into one of the most respected precision manufacturing businesses in the region. There were customer lists, pricing strategies, equipment upgrades, expansion plans, even handwritten notes about future industries that would eventually need custom-made machine parts. Her father had thought years ahead. Then Emily reached the final section. A list titled, Customers Who Value Quality Over Size. The very first name belonged to the largest manufacturing company in the state. Ironically, it was also Ryan's biggest client. Emily smiled. Her father hadn't left her revenge. He had left her opportunity. The next morning, she gathered samples of the custom parts she had already produced. With Walter's help, she prepared a professional presentation and requested a meeting with the company's purchasing director. She expected to wait weeks. Instead, they invited her the following afternoon. Inside the conference room, Emily explained her father's vision. She showed the restored machines. She presented prototype parts with incredible precision. The executives listened carefully. One of them finally asked, "Can your shop really handle this level of work?" Emily answered with complete confidence. "We don't compete by being the biggest. We compete by being the best." The room fell silent. A week later, the company called. They offered Emily a 1-month trial contract. It wasn't huge, but it was enough. Emily and Walter worked day and night. Every part was inspected multiple times. Every order arrived early. Not a single mistake was made. By the end of the month, the client renewed the contract. Then doubled it. Within 6 months, the old machine shop that everyone called worthless was operating at full capacity. Emily hired skilled workers from the local community. Several had lost their jobs years earlier when factories closed. Now they had steady work again. The shop became more than a business. It became a second chance for many families. One afternoon, a familiar black SUV pulled into the parking lot. Ryan stepped out. This time, he wasn't smiling. He walked into the office where Emily was reviewing blueprints. "I heard you've been busy." Emily looked up calmly. "We are." Ryan hesitated before speaking again. "I also heard my biggest client ended our contract." Emily said nothing. "They signed with you?" She nodded. "They did." Ryan took a deep breath. "I underestimated you." Emily smiled politely. "No. You underestimated my father." Silence filled the room. For the first time since the divorce, Ryan had nothing to say. He looked around the workshop. The machines were running. Employees were busy. Orders filled every table. The old abandoned shop he once laughed at had become one of the busiest businesses in town. "I suppose congratulations are in order," he finally said. Emily nodded. "Thank you." Ryan quietly walked away. This time, he didn't look back. Months later, the town held a business awards ceremony. Emily was invited as the keynote speaker. The same people who once pitted her now applauded as she walked onto the stage. She looked around the room before speaking. "A year ago, I believed I had lost everything." She paused. "But sometimes losing what you thought you needed makes room for what was always meant for you." The audience listened in silence. "My father didn't leave me wealth. He left me faith. He believed in me long before I believed in myself." When the applause ended, Emily drove to the small cemetery where her father rested. She placed a single wrench beside his headstone. It had been the first tool he ever gave her. Standing there, she smiled. "You were right, Dad. You didn't leave me an old machine shop. You left me my future." As the sun shined brightly over the fields, Emily realized something priceless. Ryan had taken the house, the money, the business, almost everything she owned. But the one thing he overlooked became the greatest gift of her life.